So in this video, we're going to be talking about the biggest challenge that most people face in vending is how to get a location. So the thing is with this business is it doesn't matter how nice of a machine you have, all the bells and whistles and features that it has, if you don't have a location for it. If that machine is sitting in storage or is sitting in your garage, it's not making you any money and it cannot produce income if it's just sitting there unplugged, unused. So your location is the most important part of your business. About 20% of your locations are going to need to be replaced every year. This has nothing to do with whether or not you're operating good or bad. It's just the way the business goes. Businesses close, they move, they consolidate. There's many reasons why you might be asked to leave a location. Bad service is one, but let's not make that our reason. And that's why it's so important for you to learn how to locate. A lot of people start off by hiring locators, especially for that first location or first couple locations. And that's okay, but eventually you're going to want to know how to locate because that is really the backbone of this business. No matter what type of products you're selling in your equipment, it's not going to do anything if it's not in a location. And a lot of beginners go for the big locations, the hospitals, the colleges, the malls, and things like that. And while those can be very profitable, they're not very beginner friendly. So you want to stay away from these bigger locations because likely you're not going to have enough equipment to place in those large locations. There's a process that goes with a lot of locations, especially hospitals and universities, where you have to bid for those contracts. You may not get all of that one location by yourself. You may be sharing it with other vendors. And also, there's just a longer process for you to follow to even apply or to even know how to get in contact with somebody so that you are able to bid when the bid comes up. These things also don't happen every year. They may get a contract to somebody and they have that contract for 3 years or 5 years or whatever the stipulations are of their RFP. So hospitals and airports, things like that, schools, these are not, or universities, these are not always great locations for beginners. Schools, elementary schools and junior high schools, middle schools, high schools, they're also not great locations for beginners just because of the same reason. Sometimes you have to bid for these things and you just don't have enough knowledge or have the insight to know how to get on their radar. The best type of locations for beginners are really going to be like your office buildings, senior living facilities, and warehouses. Warehouses are my personal favorite, and that was actually my first location was a warehouse. Other locations that may be good to consider for beginners are salons, barbershops, car repair shops, and places where you can walk in and they have a lot of traffic or people waiting around for long periods of time. These are going to be better locations for beginners. They're also usually not going to ask you, some of them are not going to ask you for commission. If you're a beginner and you're targeting those locations, like I said, warehouses, office buildings, and things like that, these are going to be ideal for you because these businesses just really want their employees to be happy. They want their employees to stay on site and they want them to be working. So that means they can't be leaving to go to McDonald's or Chick-fil-A on lunch break. They might be able to do that, but they just don't really have that much time, or they don't really want them to do that. And on their break periods, which are shorter, like 15 minutes, they want them to be able to get a drink or get a snack and be refreshed and get back to work. These locations are also not going to ask you for commission because, again, they just want their employees to be happy and have what they need. They're also going to want to make sure that you are servicing your equipment regularly. No one wants you to put the machine in there, have it full, and then not come back for a month. You just can't do that. If you're not coming back to your location for a month and it doesn't need to be serviced, when you come back in a month, that location is too slow. You need to move that machine. But likely your machine's going to be empty at the end of the week if you have the right type of location. And so the business owners and the decision makers want to make sure you're going to fill the machine regularly. That is the number one problem with a lot of companies that get replaced. I know in my case, when I was replacing different companies, the issue was that they were not filling consistently. The other thing is that the equipment needs to work, especially for those of you who are starting out with refurbished or used equipment. You want to make sure that that equipment is working all the time. The equipment has a lifespan. At a certain age, it's going to start to act up. There's going to start to be issues with it, and you need to know how to repair those issues, and you need to be doing it fast. And if you have to get a part or something like that, you just need to have good communication with the location. They don't care that it goes down. They understand that it goes down. But it cannot be down for a long period of time because they will get you out of there. A common question in a lot of the vending groups and that I get from a lot of clients is, how many rejections are you likely to get before you get a yes? People get discouraged because they may call 4 or 5 businesses and they all tell them no, or they hang up, or they're rude, or whatever. You will likely have to call or talk to 100 people before you get one yes. This is completely normal. This is normal across any industry that's doing sales or some kind of a service-based placement. You just have to call a lot of businesses because you only need one to tell you yes at a time. So don't worry about when you call businesses, especially don't get hung up on a certain business or that new hotel that they're building down the street or whatever, that new apartment complex, because they're likely going to tell you no. At certain points, when you see that building going up, you're probably already too late to get in for service. They probably already have established somebody that they are going to put into place, because usually when we visit locations that are new, we're in there during construction. It's not when the location is finished. The only reason they'll have you in there when it's finished is because they're trying to replace the current vendor, or they may be looking for additional services. So this is normal, completely normal, to get more no's than yeses. This just part of the business, and you have to build up a tough skin because it's not personal. It may feel that way, but it's definitely not personal. It's just that most people don't need the services, or they actually don't really even qualify for the services. But a big way to get more yeses faster is not with cold outreach, right? Like not cold calling or cold emailing or sending out mailers or something like that. It's gonna be better for you and easier for you to land locations if you're doing if you're doing networking, if you are reaching out to people you already know that might need services. So if you go to networking events, or if you ask friends and family if they need services at their place of employment, and to put you in contact with who the decision maker is, it's likely going to be more easy for you to land that location than if you don't have any connection or know that business needs services. A lot of times, especially when people have reached out to me, friends have reached out to me and said that maybe their vendor moved out and nobody ever moved back in, they give you the information and likely you place that location with no problem. So that warm networking, that warm lead is going to be much better and much easier to land than a cold one. And using a locator is okay. I used a locator when I first got started for my first couple locations, but it can get expensive. Sometimes the locators don't find very good locations. Sometimes they don't ask the right questions, and the location may seem to be very busy, but it may not actually have enough people in it to use the machines. One time, a cleaning service reached out to me for their location, and they had enough employees, but the problem was that most of the employees were in the field throughout the day, not at the location where the machines were. So they would come in and use the machines in the morning, and then maybe when they left for the evening, they would get a drink or something for the ride home. But sometimes these locations don't do well because of that reason. There's not enough people there during the day to use it. If they have enough employees, if they have enough field agents that come in every day and then leave, then it might be worth it. But this is something that's just trial and error, and it comes from experience. It comes from just continuously calling locations and trying locations out. A lot of times people use locators because they want to hurry up and get started and get that first location, but it can be something that hurts your business or causes you to waste money because you don't really know if that locator knows what they're doing or not. So you have to be able to have some experience with locating yourself before you can really rely on a locator. Most of my clients that I find locations for I have several repeat clients, because some people, they just choose to use me as a locator. However, if I don't have a location, then they can't get a new location. Locators can be expensive, and a lot of times they will ask for you to pay something up front. In some situations, this may not be okay. You have to do your due diligence and know whether or not this is a legit business or a person. Ask for referrals and things like that. Different locators operate differently. For example, when I locate for my clients, I do all the work. Some locators don't, and they send their clients out to do the site visit, and that can go either way. Especially if you've never done a site visit before, you may not know what to say, what to do, what to look for, and the questions to ask to make the operator choose you right on the spot and allow you to move into that location. But ultimately, this process is something that anybody can learn to do as long as you have the willingness to learn. I have several products available to help you find routes and locations. Make sure you visit my website or my bio to find the links.